When performing hypothesis tests, there's often some types of errors. There's always a possibility that you make the wrong decision. A type 1 error occurs if the null hypothesis is rejected, but it's actually true. And a type 2 error occurs if the null hypothesis is not rejected when it is false. The table below sums it up. The truth of HO is represented. If HO is true and we do not reject, it's a correct decision. If HO is false and we do not reject, it's a type 2 error. If HO is true and we reject the null hypothesis, it's a type 1 error. And if HO is false and we reject the null hypothesis, this is a correct decision. Hypothesis testing is sometimes compared to the actual legal system in the U.S. Under this system, these steps are used. A careful worded accusation is written, and the defendant is assumed innocent, which is H sub 0, until proven guilty. The burden of proof lies with the prosecution. If the evidence is not strong enough, there is no conviction. A not guilty verdict does not prove that a defendant is innocent. The evidence needs to be conclusive beyond a reasonable doubt. The system assumes that more harm is done by convicting the innocent, which is a type 1 error, than by not convicting the guilty, a type 2 error. The table below outlines this. The truth of the defendant. If the verdict is innocent, the truth is the fact that the person really is innocent. They did not commit the crime. The verdict was not guilty, so justice was served. If the truth of the defendant was innocent and they were committed guilty, that's a type 1 error because you're putting a person behind bars that did not commit the crime. The next truth is if the person really did commit the crime. Let's say the person murdered somebody. Okay, so you know that they are guilty of it. And they were considered not guilty because there wasn't enough evidence or something like that. That's a type 2 error. That means a person that committed murder is walking free. So that would be an error in the justice system. Whereas if the person did commit murder, is guilty, and the verdict was guilty, then justice was served. So again, if you can see, you're either guilty or not guilty. You're not guilty or innocent. So same with rejecting the null hypothesis. You either reject the null hypothesis or you do not reject the null hypothesis. So take these scenarios into consideration when you're looking at your hypothesis test.